Welcome to this week's episode of Faith Revisited. We are so happy to have you here. We're doing a really fun activity this time. This is the first time we have multiple friends involved, and we are going to do a little recap of 1 year live streaming. This is the 1 year anniversary plus a week or two of our live stream.
Well, and Molly, let's also tell the podcast listeners we're doing this on, trying to do this two ways.
Yes.
So we're doing the audio version and we're also doing the video version for our Trinity friends.
Correct.
Because,
so if you want to go to youtube.com/TrinityUMCSAV, S-A-V, you can see the video of us talking about this.
So these are the people who have primarily brought our live stream worship over the last year. It's hard to believe. We just watched our part of our first live stream only service, and y'all, it was so crazy. We were talking like we were back the next week or 2 weeks later, maybe. But the thing's been a year, and so these folks have learned new jobs on the fly. So I want to go around the room and everybody introduce themselves. Y'all look at the camera when you do it, but we'll get you also on the audio.
We'll start this way.
Yeah, we'll start with Molly, but tell us your name and what job you learned.
Yes, so I'm Molly and I produced the entire live stream. So I learned a ton about video and then video switching and audio related.
Hi, I'm Jared. I served as organist and choir director and facilitated all things music throughout quarantine.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I facilitated the sound.
Which is a lot harder than it sounds
Yeah.
because sound was an art we had to get down. So you were tweaking that thing for months to get it perfect.
Constantly.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Cody, and I sang Or the Cantor, if we call it.
Cody's was a voice of comfort for people for many weeks.
Hello, I'm Andrew. I guess an official title could be aesthetic director. So I do flowers for Trinity every Sunday, as well as making sure our liturgical linens are up to date. And I also am over our social media, so I've been interacting with all of our members throughout this entire time.
And I'm Ben, and I honestly had the easiest job because everyone did everything and just told me what to do every week, and it was amazing because I had so many friends who were editing and setting up cameras, and they were trying to be preachers and learn all this stuff, and I had this team around me that they did it and just told me what to do, and when I did something wrong, they let me know very quickly, and we made it better, and it was so amazing. So we've spent a few minutes looking back at that first service, and it was so painful. What are some of the biggest lessons that in your areas that you think we learned? So each of you had the different areas that we've just said. What were the mistakes you saw in that first worship service, and how did we fix them?
Well, I guess I'll start. I guess a lot of it had to do with the levels of the volume for the organ, because in collaboration with the sound team and the video as well, I needed to adjust. And so it's not this, being in person is not the same as being online.
Right.
So making sure that I was playing at, when to start playing and when to end, and the cues that go along with that. There were several moments when it was like, Jared, 3, 2, 1, now you start.
Yeah.
Or
we were counting as
exactly
it was going.
right.
Yeah.
So knowing when to start, when to end, and then also volume considerations, registration considerations with the organ, sound balancing with the vocals and the organ as well. That was just a huge learning curve because being on the bench, I don't know what it's like on the receiving end.
Oh, no idea.
Right, exactly. So
it's not like you can plug in your headphones to
no.
the system. Yeah.
Wish I could, but yeah.
Or it's delayed. Yeah.
Right, and so that was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Just understanding all of that and getting better from week to week. That was important to me as well. I wanted to get better from the first Sunday to where we are today and grow.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think we got better since?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It was painful.
Much better. Well, yeah, and there's the communication was upped for sure. And then also it got to a place where it kind of ran itself, where we kind of expected,
After that first week, we just all kind of got used to Molly yelling at us in between breaks. If we cut to a video, she would say, 20 seconds, Turns out, I mean, she'd count us in, and it was
Yeah.
like a TV show. Other lessons. What other lessons did we learn in your areas?
I think for me, I mean, I'm not a sound engineer.
No,
And
you're not,
by
right?
any means.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's probably 1,000 different buttons on that soundboard. So it was a lot of Google
Yeah.
and trying to figure out what all those different things meant. And then the other thing really was the equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
we had no equipment for the live stream and for sound. We didn't have the right microphones, and we still have an opportunity to improve on our microphones and all that sort of stuff. But it was just about trying to figure out what was right
Yeah.
and what worked, what didn't, what needed to be adjusted. And
Let's jump over to aesthetics. Looking at that first one, it was different than if someone were to come in on a regular Sunday. So like Ben was talking earlier, we found out maybe 24 hours in advance that we were gonna do a live only. Like what kind of things do we shift in that moment?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, we, at that time last year, the Savannah Music Festival had already put up their stage, which covers our entire already stage and altar. And so we had to adjust the flower pedestals. We brought in a podium for Ben to use that was literally just right in our parlor of the
Yeah.
church.
We have dogs here too. by the way, guys.
This is
We have
real
lives.
life.
He's my little puppy.
Real life. We have pups here.
We will introduce them later on. But, so I mean, like at that first one, we literally had to jump in and figure out
Shrunk it.
how to make this work in such a small camera angle. Because at that time we only had one camera, where now we have 3.
Well, and let me just interrupt you to say, y'all intuitively knew a famous TV trick, which is when you're filming television, your sets get smaller because the camera's this big. And so, you know, live stream folks have kind of figured this out in the last year, but y'all sort of knew if we're going to film this to be at home on TV, we've got to, because our space is so big, it looks empty when it's that big. So y'all knew to bring everything in to shrink the stage about this big. It was great.
And I want to make a note
Yeah.
of how crooked our
camera was so
camera
crooked that
angle
first
was.
week.
And we realized that after the first week, to where the next week, you know, we pulled out a hymnal and we switched pages to a certain thickness.
370
And
something.
we realized
Yeah.
that is, you know, we opened the hymnal to hymn number 375, and
Yeah.
that is the
That was
exact
the right
thickness
height.
that was to make it level. Because
And
the first one was crooked.
For those of y'all who've been watching this whole year, just know we have gone from putting the tripod with the camera on with a hymnal underneath on page 375 because it was the right balance, to now a multi-camera system, video switcher. That's how far we've come. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. We did a lot to like shrink it. And
I think it's 377 because it
Is
is
it?
well with my soul. Like, that's
It was.
which we all needed.
We
and
needed
that's
it.
We all needed to say
Solace
it
and
What
was
is
comfort
life
well.
like?
of
It
a
will
song.
always
in a
be
song.
well.
And poor Cody, I think I made him sing It Is Well With My Soul. I put it in worship at least once a month. They're early because I knew
Every
people
4
at home
weeks.
wanted to sing it and listen to it and hear him sing it. And we just kept bringing it back, bringing it back.
But
Oh,
I think,
man.
like as we talked about a little bit earlier, I think what we forgot about was how quickly we pivoted.
Yeah.
I mean, as we watched a little bit ago,
every week.
the first live stream, how quickly I think we had less than 24 hours to try to figure out how we were going to do this, and the things that we incorporated into that first live stream were
Yeah.
great.
I remember our very first live stream. It was maybe 20 minutes before. And we had thought like we were gonna do like Jared playing the organ and you doing your thing, Ben. And then we're like, oh, let's just add in like somebody cantering or
Yeah.
singing.
Yeah.
Like that was not ever an original plan,
Yeah.
and it was literally like 20 minutes before, and we're like, oh, people want to to interact with the text. of
And
the
Cody's
music.
voice literally became a voice of comfort. Like him singing the hymns, and people stuck at home and they're scared to death. Like it became a thing. I heard it weekly from people. Like, I love hearing Cody sing so much.
Yeah, I heard that a
Just
lot.
became
Your
a
Gloria
thing.
Patri is glorious.
Can we put a little plug in here? If you're watching the video version, we're gonna roll right now. Ben lip syncing the Gloria Patri with Cody singing
bad.
over it. It was the most funniest moment, so we're gonna roll that here. It was such a great learning experience overall. We shifted week to week. We learned new things. We were always adjusting and changing. And the key that we had over a lot of other churches in the area is we already had a live stream going.
Yes.
Since I think the
It wasn't
previous
new.
October, the Pride service was I think one of our very first
Yeah.
live stream services. So we had a camera already. Like we weren't starting from scratch,
Right.
but we like upped the game.
The two things that I tell colleagues that we were very fortunate about, we were early before the pandemic on live stream, and we were before the pandemic on online giving. And for a lot of churches that thought, we're going to close because we can't bring in money, or churches that had no online way of giving whatsoever, our annual conference actually created an online link and a code that your people could give to that link, put in your code, and they would deposit the money in the church's account.
Wow.
Because churches didn't have the means to do it. Our folks seamlessly pivoted, and when I said stay home,
Yeah.
they stayed home. When I said give online, they just started giving online. We went from about 20% per month of our giving pre-pandemic was online to even now 80%
Wow.
is online. And people just pivoted. Great. So those were the two huge strengths that we had
Yeah.
coming into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Patrick because I think for everybody in the room, based on your vocational choices and natural gifts, Patrick may have had the largest learning curve of anybody. Here he is, a hospital administrator coming in, like running a soundboard. And one of the big lessons that online church gurus tell you is that people will forgive bad video, but they will not forgive bad sound.
We know that.
You can have blurry video, but if it sounds terrible, they're
did
turning
hear
it
that.
off.
Yep.
And we, God bless y'all, we heard it every week. Turn it up, turn up the volume, fix it. And it was a working process, right?
Absolutely.
It was. What was unbelievable was, to Jared's point earlier, what you hear in the room is very different, folks
Very.
at home, from what you hear on your computer or TV at home. And so getting those things adjusted were unbelievable. I mean, I want to commend you because you learned, and we tweaked that sound for months.
Well, and then it wasn't even the soundboard. There's a whole different soundboard in the software.
That's true.
So we've got the physical soundboard that controls the output of the computer, and then the computer has its own soundboard
and we
that we
found
then
out,
had to figure out.
and then we
tweak.
find out that it's also how long your cables are.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Remember when we tried to do
We
something
were playing
for
a
like,
radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I
the cable
forgot
was
about
picking
that.
up a radio
Yeah,
station.
it wasn't like grounded properly, and we
Yeah.
were picking up some.
And
Yeah.
God bless Kaufman Hines. Kaufman Hines in Savannah, Georgia,
Yeah.
AV folks. I texted Jeff after
Shout
this
out.
service, and he was like, "Oh, you've got unprotected cables," and let me just bring you new cables, and he did, and it was fixed immediately. But we've had to mic pianos, multiple pianos.
Organ too.
We've adjusted all kinds of mics just to make sure it sounds
Right.
good for folks in person.
Every part of the experience has a mic.
Yeah.
It seems like now.
But I mean,
Yeah.
it's always,
Which is
it's
very
been a
different.
crazy
Yeah.
team experience too, because being on social media, I see all the comments that our members have posted. So then I immediately tell Molly and
We're
immediately
all
tell
texting
Patrick.
back and forth.
We're all texting back and
And we
forth.
During
learned
the-
to
during the
take
sermon.
Ben out
We
of
cannot
those group
hear-
texts
Yeah.
because it was distracting for him on
Right.
camera.
His phone's
Yeah,
going
it's
up,
like
yeah.
it's like they cannot hear Cody at this point, you know, or
Yeah.
the organ is way too loud, or you know, it's just constant. We're listening to what they're saying, and we're constantly editing in the middle of the service.
Yeah.
to try to get that sound exactly right. But then also, even after that, I mean, we go home and we
all listen.
We re-watch what was just done and say,
We were so dedicated.
oh man, But, you know, like
Yeah.
we've got to take these singers up
This
a
sounded
whole
like
lot,
crap.
or
Yeah.
we've got to take
Sometimes,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
did. Quite often.
it was also going back and re-listening.
Well, and you
making
guys,
those
we
adjustments
had
the
a
next week.
couple
Yeah.
Sundays that things just fell off the rails. Couple
Completely.
Sundays the video crashed. I mean, it was just it was bad, and y'all got better at taking me off your text when something wrong is happening, and also not giving it away. The first Sunday everything crashed, I could look past the camera and I would see y'all back there running around like, oh God, something's on fire. And I was like, something's wrong, this is
Yeah.
not right. And I have to come back and have composure. And I
Yeah.
vividly remember, for me, the worst Sunday was Mother's Day. Worst Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I look at my phone, for folks at home who don't know, I look at my phone constantly when I'm off camera because I want to know how y'all are reacting. I want to know you're enjoying it. I want to know that, people are participating. And I watched the number of viewers going down, not up. And I was like, what's happening? And then I look up and Andrew and Molly are looking and going. And then Molly comes up and she whispers to me, like in a break, she's like, video's gone.
Yeah, it's
Live stream's
off.
dead. We're just going to record and
Completely
put up
off.
later. And I have to pull it together,
Yeah.
knowing that you're no longer watching. You may not come back and watch. No offering,
Well, we
no,
didn't,
no,
we
no,
didn't
no rest
come
of the
back
service.
at all that
We
Is,
day.
did.
is that
did
the
not
Sunday
come
that
back.
it crashed right before the sermon? So we
Yes.
just clipped the sermon?
Yes.
No. That was the second time it happened. The first time it happened earlier.
It crashed completely.
And we
could
just
not
let
bring
the
it
whole
back.
service go.
Never
And I
heard it.
have to look positive and
Yeah.
act like I'm enjoying
Well, and
preaching to when I
I'll
know
have to
you're not
like
there.
throw you a little bit. Like you weren't good. Now you're much better about
Yes.
like covering that stuff. In the early days, you were
I panicked.
pissed and like so sad that things and it like ruined because we all had lunch afterwards and it was exciting because it was the only time we got to see other people in those
Yeah.
first 2 months of quarantine. Ben was in the worst mood
Ever.
if something went wrong.
In my
and it,
defense,
like,
when technology breaks at home, my family will tell you that I freak out.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to work.
Yes,
And when
he's
it
gotten
dies-
much better about covering. for
Yes,
it.
I've
Yeah.
gotten better about that, more
We've
patient.
also gotten better at not telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Touche.
Hollywood magic.
Well, I mean, I wear my feelings on a sleeve, and when I'm excited, you know it. And boy, when that thing crashes, I'm
No.
not happy.
Never.
But no, y'all been wonderful about that. What were some of the most difficult experiences you remember? Like the moments when in your different area you were like, this is hard. This is whatever.
Let's start at Cody.
Yeah.
I felt like there were some times when I'd come in and the hymns would be just bizarre texts and
I chose
and
the hymns.
bizarre hymns, and I'd be like, ooh, cottonmouth, literally like
How do I sing this one?
and like literally have no idea what I'm saying, but we'd make it through. But then I feel like some of the harder times in general were just like being in the pandemic and doing it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like it was so fun the first few weeks, and it's still fun. It's just like,
Well, we thought it was short-lived.
yes, exactly. But then like drawing it longer than what we
When
thought.
June hit, it started getting hard.
Yes,
And
and
it
I
was
feel like
Easter
felt
was
like-
fun. Like it was exciting. This is
Because
new.
we're like,
I felt like
Connection.
motivation was just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it was
June
just difficult,
was a turning point for me.
I think it was that like we missed everybody being there
Yeah.
too. Is that it was like
Yeah, we missed
that
the,
was what
the
it was
community.
hard. Is that it was like we loved our group, but at the same time, it was like it was going on for so long. Where it's like
like,
we really started sinking in
love
how
you,
much we
Six,
missed
but-
everybody.
where's everyone else? Yeah.
You
Where's
walk
all our
into
other friends?
You walk into an empty
I mean, it was still dark
congregation
every time we
and
all
it-
came in.
We
Yeah.
did our jobs, we knew our jobs, and it felt very robotic
Yeah.
at times after a while.
Yeah. Or some other difficult moments you remember in your various shows. Molly's may be dealing with me sometimes because I could be a little.
I'm used to it now.
I could be a little hard before the show starts.
Or after.
Or right after some mistakes happen. I'm not always happy.
I think for me, being the voice behind the keys, so to speak, was trying to listen to what all of our members were saying with technology issues and trying to reconnect them back and say, we are working on sound, or we have lost our live stream, we are going to
it's
repost the
not
sermon
something
later,
we can't
or
fix. Like some
Yeah,
things we just
I mean-
we have no option of fixing.
it was so hard to try to type the words in such a quick quick second to say that I'm sorry, we are completely gone and we do not know how to fix this, or trying to be that voice between
And you literally
our
were the voice. You
sanctuary
were Trinity, the
and-
comments, reassuring
and
people.
our members.
And there were a few weeks that it fell apart. Something crashed. It was not good. And I texted Jeff Hines after and said, Jeff, this and this went wrong. Can you fix it by next Sunday? And he's like, yeah, I'll come by.
And I do want to make a note, like, not all churches have an Andrew who are there in the comments every single time. A lot of these pastors were doing it by themselves, either pre-recording or just going live on Facebook or whatever the means they had in the beginning or throughout. But having Andrew there as an immediate reaction, that we could count on him of being the voice to the people, saying like, okay, we're working on this, we're gonna turn it up, we're gonna do all this, but also like keeping us informed of what our audience saw. That was such a huge benefit. And to have that engagement as well for social media algorithms, like it was just such an amazing
Podcast listeners have heard you and I talk about this, but Facebook has an algorithm that the more comments that happen on a post, the more traction it gets, the more eyeballs see it. And so having Andrew jump in early, and he liked and loved and commented on everything and kept the conversation going, still does, that not only helped people stay engaged, but it helped new people find us.
Yep.
We've had a number of new people find our church online.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was clutch, but there were some Sundays that if something broke, you were the one trying to reassure someone, I'm sorry, we're trying to fix it, it's gonna,
And
we're
our
working on
members
it.
were relatively understanding.
They were.
For the most part. We love you all.
We do. And I know it was frustrating some weeks, but our folks have been so good about just gushing all over everybody for all the hard work over the last year. Are there any other difficult moments you want to raise up?
Well, I was going to say on the other set of keys, he was on the keyboard, I'm on the other keyboard. Jumping in to the organ position for sure, and
that's true.
taking that.
Let's talk
over.
about that. You weren't on the organ before.
Right. So
Let's
How did
talk
it
about
work?
the situation of the organ bench so people know this story.
Oh Lord, which one?
Tell us the story of the bench. How did you prop that bench up?
Well, it's currently bolstered by hymnals.
How many? Total.
4.
8.
Oh, 8.
And just so we know,
Four
we're
on
not,
one
we're
side.
not picked out a new bench yet.
Well, I'm working on it. I'm
right.
trying to get the right
Pause
height.
for just a minute. How tall are you?
6'2".
Jared's 6'2".
For now.
He is taller than the
6'2".
person who was playing our organ, and because the
I'm
organ
all
takes,
legs.
he's
I'm
all
all
legs, and
legs.
because
So-
the organ takes all 4 extremities, Jared could not sit on the organ, so he started propping hymnals under the bench to get leg room.
Yeah, I just
I didn't
need
know this for months.
You
Yeah,
also bought
I mean-
organ heels. What are they called? Organ shoes?
organ shoes.
Yeah.
Well, they have a heel
It's
on
a
them, but
thing.
it's not-
It's new to me, but
Right, yeah. I
all
mean,
things we've learned.
yeah, I just need to be a little higher up so that I can reach the I can reach the pedals fine. I need to be able to hover over the pedals a little bit more. So
This is the part where I say we're going to buy Jared a new organ bench, but if any of you are feeling generous right now,
please,
and would like to make a special gift to our music
an
ministry,
adjustable organ.
Jared
bench would be
desperately
great.
needs a new organ bench that
Okay.
we're going to buy one way or the other. But if you want to sponsor it, we would love that because he is up
We're
there.
Trinity-Church on Venmo or
Months
Trinity1848.
ago, you showed me this pitiful
But-
bench setup.
But there was a Sunday you fell off the bench, right? The hymnals gave
The
way.
well, I slid in and
The bench went with you.
the bench went with and the hymnal stayed. Okay, so
Okay, so while we're on funny
That was
stories,
the loud thud.
so we've told the story
That
about
was a
how
whoops.
I was accidentally lip syncing to Cody. Can we tell the story about how we found that you started wearing long pants last summer every Sunday, no matter what?
I mean, it's hot. in
This is
Savannah.
hilarious.
Let's
It was hot. We all wore like comfortable clothes, y'all. If we put on
I
a
mean,
robe,
no one's
we're
in the
on camera.
building, so we're
Yeah, t-shirts,
we're trying to be
shorts,
comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were
Casa.
even in like gym clothes and
Yeah.
like t-shirts and No one else could see us online.
We go back and watch one Sunday, and we all started texting Jared because his choir robe accidentally split or rode up just enough where we saw his naked knee. And he looked like he was not wearing any pants at all.
I'm wearing pants, but yeah.
And we picked on him so bad he wore long pants throughout the rest of the summer.
Oh yeah,
Never
it's rain or
stopped.
shine. I wore my long leg, my long bottom.
He was so afraid his leg would poke out again. That was
I love when you hiked all your.
Oh, well, I have to see my feet. I have
Well,
to
he
see.
stopped wearing robes for a bit. When we were
Right.
still on the one camera system, he realized he didn't have to wear a robe for when he ran to the balcony down to the piano because he was hidden by the piano in the camera view. So you didn't wear robes for a while.
Yeah.
But then when we switched
Then
our
you start
camera
upgrading the
systems,
cameras. I gotta watch myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, jumping on the organ for sure was one thing. But also like transitioning the music that I had programmed for the last couple years and making it accessible for one person, two people, three, now four people. I mean that's significant because none of the music that I've picked in the last couple of years or ever in my whole career has ever been just for four.
Well, and let's be honest,
Or less.
that's still one of the sad pieces going on that hopefully we'll be able to bring back the choir soon, but
Right.
you don't really fully get to live into your position because there's still only four people singing.
Yeah.
We don't have a choir back. Like hopefully we'll have one this fall or winter or something, but yeah, that's still hard.
Honestly, it's a catch-22 because while this has been tough to take it down to four, it's been some of the only music that I've been able to enjoy
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the last year because
'Cause that's what you do for
the
a living
school
in
has
high
not-
school. That's
the
right.
school has not had a choir,
Yeah.
so it's been sad and then also significantly like joyful in that way to
Yeah.
celebrate it.
No, that's good. That's really good. What were some of your successes, favorite moments? They can be funniest moments too. But like, what are some moments you remember that you were like, we crushed it that day, or this really came together, or you just felt like you grew in your position, or whatever it was?
I'll say for me, I'll go.
Who's gonna start?
Who wants to brag
So-
first?
Oh, right.
I guess it's bragging, but I guess one thing that makes me feel very honored is that I stepped into the role of doing the altar flowers in January of 2020. And I take pictures of every arrangement that I do each Sunday, but also Molly has posted them on our social media accounts. But one thing that I guess makes me feel good is that people have actually commented about how much my arrangements have changed and grown throughout the past year.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
that really has meant a lot to me when people go in our, like I said, I'm also the person behind the keys, so I see every Sunday as soon as somebody writes, oh my goodness, those flowers are gorgeous, and it just warms my own heart. But
Absolutely.
I feel like I've grown as a florist, so to speak, in just doing these flowers for church when that's not my real job.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
That's a really great one.
Yeah, that is good. Other successes. It's bragging time, y'all.
Or as a whole, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be you
specific.
Well, for the team, I think we've grown so much together. I mean, it's not like we can do anything related to the service alone. I mean, that's not going to happen, in anyone's individual position. So being able to take what we saw today and then think about what we were able to do, just today,
Yeah.
and just
And also
rock it
everyone's
out.
flexibility. I've really appreciated the whole team's flexibility. We've pre-recorded some services. I mean,
Right.
quite a big handful.
Sure.
If someone's going to be out of town or something, you have to make do and adapt
Yeah.
because that's what you have learned.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've really been able to roll with the punches, and accommodate every single obstacle, whether
For a
it's
whole
somebody's
year.
out or
Yeah.
we've got to do something early because of this, XYZ, whatever it is. We've been able to roll with it and have it premiere at the same level
Yeah.
of quality
yeah,
as
and
anything
at
else.
11 a.m. on
Right.
a Sunday.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and
11 a.m. Yes.
11 a.m. did 11 a.m.
That's right. the flip side of that.
That's gonna be in the
me-
bloopers. Like, let's talk about 12 o'clock, whatever.
I know. Let's tell that story. Let's tell that story.
You can save it if you want.
No, it's worth it. I was in charge of premiering a pre-recorded service. I didn't check the time zone, and I get all these, we were texting ahead because I realized something wasn't right. And we were searching. So the service was supposed to premiere at 11 a.m., which is when it's supposed to happen. We were online only.
Correct.
And it did on YouTube, but not on Facebook. It apparently premiered.
Which is where the majority of our
With the
people
vast
are.
majority,
Right,
and so it apparently premiered in Central Standard Time, which was not Eastern,
Weird,
which was an
that's
hour
not-
later.
What time zone we're in?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Mother's Day revisited, except I'm sitting at my dining room table, pissed off that most of our people are not able to watch because they're not on Facebook because it's premiering at 12 o'clock.
In an hour. Yeah.
An hour later, and I got so much grief for it.
Yeah. So I'll say where I found most grief in the past year was I opened a sparkling water can.
Oh, during Amazing Grace.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I opened a LaCroix can because I was really thirsty one morning, and it was and apparently everyone could hear it on.
It
the
sounded
live
like Mom was
stream.
cracking open a
It
beer.
sounded like
In the final hymn,
I mean,
when she's
cracking
done.
one
it was
open.
that saved a wretch like me
I was parched. I was
In the
parched.
sanctuary.
In the
Molly.
sanctuary.
of all places.
It was one of the most funniest things because literally it was the end of the service. And it sounded like she was cracking a beer because we were finally done with the day.
The acoustics in the sanctuary
It
are
was-
great.
That's true. I should.
It was so significant that after
The
the
timing.
postlude, I actually I opened
what?
one. No, I opened a seltzer, just a soda water,
To see.
right after, just to get a laugh. Oh no,
Yeah.
I played it on YouTube. Remember,
Oh,
I
yeah,
played the
you did.
little video, and it was like, and
Yeah.
I mean, we all cackled
was-
like
it
it's
was-
just like.
They still don't let
amazing.
me live that down. So
No.
yeah.
I will say one of the great things that happened in addition to the flexibility is the flip side of that, which is y'all's dedication to being there at
Yeah.
11 o'clock every Sunday.
Yeah.
Because especially early on in this, one of the important things that sort of came to light for me is that we're not physically present with each other,
Yeah.
but it's important that we share this moment together. And even if we can't see the people watching, we were together, and I looked in that camera and I imagined somewhere that they were there. And it was very, very important for the consistency and that we were all sharing in these
And I
moments.
do
together.
feel that those first few weeks I really grew deeper in my faith because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
such an intimate experience having us all in the room, and now I'm feeling it differently now that now I need the more people in the room for it, and I need to focus in on the sermon versus it just kind of it's not the same anymore. But I feel like the first few weeks, the first couple months, it was a whole nother holy experience of being lucky to be in that room
Yeah,
and being
absolutely.
able to hear the sermon in person because no one else could.
Well,
and
I think I was just going off of that is that I think that in this time that we had to immediately drastically change everything was that it was also the time that we realized that we were the only people who most of us saw
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Or every week at least.
Yeah.
Is that during quarantine when we were home alone, we knew that we were going to see each other every
Yeah.
Sunday. And it was almost that comfort of we have our own little family here that we see every week,
Yeah.
and we are comfortable to see each other because
It was very
we know that
special.
we were the only ones that we
Yeah.
were allowed to
Yeah.
be around, so to speak.
On that,
And
we were seeing each other. We were the only ones seeing each other. But on the flip side of that, look at how wide our wingspan was
Yeah.
to other countries, to
Yeah.
other states,
Yeah.
to people tuning in that,
We've grown this whole remote congregation.
right.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to think about. And we didn't realize it at the time, a year ago, that we
We were
had
just trying
members
to
joining
survive.
from
I know.
Michigan
we were just
and
trying to keep going.
tuning in
I mean,
from
but you
all
think
over.
about church as like people who come to the building to see you, and that's your family.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about this other,
what
part
we're
of-
bringing to the world.
right?
Yeah.
And then to see that on the point of view of who's able to tune into us from wherever they have internet, they can
Yeah.
join in. That's that flips the coin completely on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And
I mean,
people
that's a
asking,
crazy
you know,
ministry.
for months now, like, y'all are going to keep doing this after, you know, you're back in person, right? Because it really became something important in their life. And, you know, I would get messages. This one guy, I don't know if he still watches or not, but, you know, he sent me a message like, I'm a sous chef in, like, the Atlanta area. And I found y'all online, and I listened to your service while I'm prepping, you know, for the restaurant to open for lunch.
Wow.
You know, stuff
Well,
like that is
that's
just,
awesome.
it's just amazing. People from other cities and what's neat now is like a couple of them have started coming in person. It's like, oh, I've known your name for months now, but now there's a face and a person behind it. But yeah, they've been locked in with us. It's been really cool stuff.
Yeah.
One of, I think for me, the biggest success was I knew y'all were good, but I didn't know how good you were until the Sunday that I crashed my car and broke my arm. I was literally on Sunday
Big day.
morning, we're 3 hours away
That was
from
a big
worship. I get in a car accident and I broke my arm. And I realized, the EMT told me, I was like, I'm gonna be done by 11 o'clock, you know, I've gotta be somewhere. She's like,
Right.
no, this is not, And I call Molly, and I text the group, I'm getting on an ambulance
Yeah.
to go to the
You get
hospital.
And the ambulance.
Yeah, I'm in an ambulance, and I'm like, I don't know. And so we call Pat Youngquist, who's a minister from another annual conference, lives in Savannah, and goes to our church. And I was able to say, Pat, I need you to go, pull out a sermon. They'll tell you everything you need to know, and you just do what Molly says, and they'll do all the other
I forgot
stuff.
about that. That's
Yeah.
such
That's-
a great. That was a
She
pivotal
jumped
moment.
right in. Oh my gosh,
In
and
the
we got
fact-
that photo with her
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah,
So
we should
that was
put the
really
photo in
sweet.
the show notes.
Yeah.
But right here's the
I'm
photo.
laying on a gurney in
Yeah.
the emergency room with my
Well,
arm.
I was still like in bed
So we're
when
gonna
you
wrap
called
this
me
up soon,
because Ben was going to you're going to cycling
Spin
classes,
class, yeah.
spin class before the service, and you'd come back, and I don't get out of bed until like right before I need to leave, especially if we were all doing it at church, like we weren't having to.
Why not? Like,
Yeah,
why-
I mean,
why
I
not?
wasn't like. Anyways, I was still like laying in bed, and Ben calls me, and I was like, "What is going on?" And he in the
Because we don't
ambulance-
call, we always text.
Yeah, we always text, never call.
Yeah.
And so that was like a weird thing. And then yeah, it was like, okay, here we go, plans in motion. Like mic her up
Let's
and
go.
tell her to move this way and not that way. And I mean, she pulled it
As
off,
soon as
and
As
it
soon
was-
as she walked in, she was like, "All
In the
right,
zone.
I like,
Right.
I like,
What do I do?
what do I do?" And
other than I have a
Molly
sermon
and I
here.
were right there.
Yep.
It was like, you stand here. At this point, you walk away.
Yeah.
You can stay there. We're
A
good.
lot. It was
We
a lot.
we are gonna
Yeah.
skip this. We're gonna go ahead and plug, your joys and concerns. But you know what?
Yeah.
You don't need to address
Pass.
that.
Yeah.
Just say Ben we will
Here's
keep
the
you all in our
Yeah.
prayers.
What?
And-
And she
Okay.
very pastorally announced also at the beginning of the
Yeah.
service what had
Correct.
happened to me.
Right, yeah.
But I was laying in
So
the
sweet,
ER
yeah.
on a gurney. Yeah, and I said, Pat, you just go there. They'll do a screen test. Andrew will tell you where to move and how to be straight on the screen. Mom will give you all your directions. Like, it's going to be fine.
What a crazy moment.
And for pastors who have not done this or done the pandemic, it is scary as all get out, this idea of doing this
she
speaking
was
thing.
nervous. Like
She
you could tell in
was.
the beginning.
Yeah.
She
But
was.
she was such a good sport.
And then it was
yeah.
totally
It was,
natural.
and it was flawless.
It was
Yeah.
flawless.
And
was
one
great.
of our sermon was great.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
watched the whole service, but yeah, I knew that Sunday. I was like, they've got this.
Collins.
I can
Yeah.
get in a car wreck, and they can carry on without me. In fact, the only the first Sunday that we pre-recorded was so you guys could go out of town, because I said to the group, like, we've learned that we can replace me. We cannot replace
cannot.
Jared. He's
At
got to
that
play
time,
the
no.
organ.
We had,
I mean, still.
we had not pre-recorded
Yeah.
the music yet.
We
so.
did not, so we decided to do it that week.
How early on was that? What was the date of your accident? Like,
Actually, my accident was July. I feel like maybe we did you guys a different
Hazel?
week.
Did we pre-record before we got the 3 camera system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did?
I
Yeah.
think once or twice.
yeah. Well, we did that week on Mother's Day when it all crashed and went down.
Yeah.
It was technically
We went
recording.
live.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were live and then we just
No.
put up
Yeah.
recording, but.
No.
Yeah, no, I knew that Sunday that Pat came in and it was just flawless. I was like, they can do this without me. Like, this is amazing. So,
Well, not really, but yeah, we could do it that one Sunday. Fine.
let's wrap up here.
Yes.
Rapid fire, what are you grateful for a year later? Go, Molly.
Oh, this whole team, like the friendships and the bond that we've created in the past year has been phenomenal.
The team and Collins and being able to really just make music again.
Yeah.
Like even though it's, I know it's driving fire. I'm supposed to say okay now Patrick. But oh hey girl. But be able to do it like in a safe way. Safe is important. And that's important to me.
This year, like moving forward,
Anything, whatever you're grateful for.
Colin,
I mean-
stop.
like Molly said, this team, I mean, we grew together, we learned together, and we just, I feel like really came a long way, but I'm looking forward to, I think that there's hope in 2020, and that
Stop.
what we thought would only be a couple of weeks is now turned into a year, and hopefully will be short-lived.
I'll say that I thought I sang the hymn, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, too many times. But thinking about it, like hearing everything that we've said and just reflecting on it, what a text that we really, truly needed.
Yeah.
And it's so beneficial, and I absolutely have a new respect for that hymn, even though we sang it 10 times this past year.
It was the theme song
I
for 2020, I get it.
I adore it.
You need to, like,
Thinking
quarantine
about it now,
Yeah.
it has a whole nother realm in my heart because we needed guidance more than any
Yeah.
in this whole past year, and we got it.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna skip me because I'm gonna go last. Andrew.
I mean, I'm gonna say like exactly what everybody has said. I mean, this team has been a godsend as just for having people to go through this COVID year with, so to speak. For me personally, this COVID year has been very hard. Lost my dog in August, and then my grandparents died in December from COVID. And so it's like, I knew that they were always there for me. And whenever things happened, they were always there. And now, we have Collins, this sound that you hear with the squeaking and the barking and everything that's been going on during this recording has been Collins. And so, like,
she's like, whatever.
She looked for donut.
it's 2020 was rough, and
Okay. How is she doing that?
we are done with that toy.
We have one more grateful to go through, Collins.
Just chill, okay? So anyway, what I was saying was 2020 was rough, and we all know that it was in our own individual ways, whether it was through your family or whatnot. But for me, I think it was knowing that I had this group that we were allowed to be together because we were making this for the greater good of not only our community, but as we've seen, states, nation, countries even. We've had people join from the UK to watch our service. And so it's just the fact that we have completely lost my train of thought.
Right.
No, thanks, Collins. But
We've made an impact.
yeah, we've made
outside
an
of us,
impact.
yeah.
And
Singing good, yeah.
I think that's it's not only been beneficial for me personally, but seeing the impact that we have made on the outer world, because it has been worldly.
And also, little plug, I feel like Ben and I, with outputting all this information, we've also taught other churches how to do what
Yeah.
we've done. And so that even can't think of the word, but that's like expanded our reach of we've allowed other churches we've taught about this and we've shown other churches how to do it. So just beyond our community in Trinity,
kind of
we're
been a
teaching
model.
other,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Even in that first week, I mean, what we saw, we can critique it to the nth degree because we know, like what we're doing now or whatever, but I mean,
It was ahead of its time.
It's way ahead,
Yeah.
and still we're doing the same things. They're just
Yeah.
more polished and
Yeah.
more put together, and we're able to adapt. But
Yeah.
we're able to
It's awesome.
do that.
I think for me, probably two great things. One is every pastor's dream is to develop a team around them. That you don't ever want to be, some end up being the one person show, but they do that to their own peril. And so most pastors long to have a team around them, to develop people. And the ability to brag to my friends that I've got, I'm not doing this as a solo job. I've got this team, I don't even do the technical work anymore, all this stuff. I don't even know how to do it in the first place, has been really, really amazing. And so y'all's giving of yourselves, of your time, and y'all have given a lot of time and energy, has been tremendous. And probably the second thing, outside of everything that you've said and our impact and all that other stuff, which is amazing, really is more personal. And that has been those early weeks that we spent 2 or 3 months, doing live stream worship and eating lunch together in the fellowship hall after worship. Yeah. And my family would come downstairs from our home and join in, and my kids loved all of you, and they loved seeing you, and y'all were their only people that they saw, and we were this pod together, and for my family, we talk often about looking back on those weeks when we know we probably wore you out on, eating in a drab fellowship hall and, just doing the same thing.
Still flock to the walk.
But we did some good
Or
takeout.
Tequila Town.
Yeah. But for my family, that was special time that y'all really became family for us. Mm-hmm. So that was really neat stuff too. So.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in this week for Faith Revisited. It was really fun to kind of look back on the past year and talk to the people who made it happen. So thank you all for being here and be willing to do this, even though we didn't give you a choice. But we really appreciate it, and your friendship and your time. And thank you for everyone tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this reflection.
Bye everyone.
See y'all.
Thank you.
That was fun.
That was fun, actually.